Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of View Jersey. Today we're in the Pine Barrens, actually filming my winter camping episode. Today it's a nice day out. I wanted to get a hike in, and this is one of my favorite hikes. We're at Harrisville Pond. This trail is a little over 4 miles, 4.2, 4.3, something like that. And it takes you back around the pond or lake here, and it brings you past two ghost towns, Martha and Harrisville. And there's also something else back there I'd like to show you. It's one of my favorite trails in the Pine Barrens, so figured I'd bring you along while I do this. And then I'm going to split this and the camping episode into 2 different episodes, so it's not super long. But yeah, this is one of the coolest places in the Pines, in my opinion. It's not super, it's not like a hidden gem so much as it's just a place with some cool history. It's a great trail. It's very pretty, and it's got a cool few different landmarks that I'm going to take you through and tell you a little bit about the history as I go. So I'm going to get packed up here in a minute, show you the surroundings where I parked, and then get on the trail. All right, so we're parked at the Harrisville Pond parking lot. It's off of 679, judging from the map here. I don't actually have the road numbers memorized out here, but little view of the lake. What we're going to do is hop on the blue trail, which starts right in the back of the parking lot. That's going to take us all the way around the lake. I'm going to stop by a couple different ghost town or abandoned mill town ruins, and there's also another cool landmark back there that I want to check out. So I'm going to hop on the trail here and take you along. I've been out here, I've passed a pretty sizable beaver lodge. As you can see, they are out here and active. These look like they were chewed quite a while ago. Some of these look fresh, but just it's funny, this whole coastline of this lake is all chewed up. I think I'm coming up on it soon. I'll show it to you. Duck. Just gonna shut up for a second to let you hear how silent it is out here. One of the cool parts of this trail is not too far down the trail, on the right side of the trail if you're coming from the side I came from. There's this really cool cedar swamp where the ground is just covered by this green, luscious moss year-round. I always like to come here and look around, take some pictures, and just take a minute to appreciate it every time I'm on this trail. All right, so you start on the blue trail. When you get here, you're gonna see blue and pink. Pink represents the Batona Trail, which is a 50-mile trail that runs through the Pine Barrens. And this is where they intersect. You're gonna stay on blue, but I'm pretty sure I've done this trail enough to just kind of know where I'm going, but I believe right here is where it just turns into the Batona Trail for a while. So I can confirm that once I get where I'm going, just to be sure. But as you can see up ahead, it's just pink. So you're switching from blue to the Batona, and that's taking us towards where we want to go. So yeah, talked about it before in our Willow Grove episode, but I figured since we're in the heart of the Pine Barrens, so to speak, talk about it again. One of my favorite things, probably top 3, is just the air in the Pine Barrens. You can taste it, you can smell it once you get out here. It smells like pine, and that's because of pinene, which is a terpene, aromatic compound released by plants. And pinene actually has a lot of health benefits. It's like anti-inflammatory, bronchodilator, and expectorant. I think there may even be, there's studies linked to it being a neuroprotective, which it protects brain health, which I'm sure has something to do with the bronchodilator properties, because if you can breathe better, you're getting more oxygen to your brain. More oxygen to the brain is better for your brain health. But yeah, another thing you gotta love about the Pine Barrens is the fact that there's always green, there's always signs of life and the plant life out here. Obviously the underbrush dies out in the winter, but you always have that beautiful mixture of brown on the ground and green in the trees. So it always gives you evidence that it's alive, even when other forests might not look so lively in the winter. All right, just to clarify, when you do reach the Batona Trail and start following that, you're gonna follow that all the way to Martha, which is our first stop. And then I'll tell you how to get back from there. But yeah, the blue doesn't pick up again. You take the blue from the parking lot until you reach the Batona Trail. And another thing, once you get to where I am right now, you're gonna kind of pop out of the foot trail, end up on a slightly bigger trail. I mean, you could drive a vehicle down here. When you get here, you're gonna go right and follow it that way. When you get to this fork right after that turn, you're gonna stay on the right side. So you can see markers are up there. Coming up on the old bridge before we get to Martha, which means we're almost there. Got some beautiful Pinelands water underneath us. That's another thing I always like to sit and appreciate, is the waving grass underneath the water from this bridge. Happy to see it's still there. A little bit. Another thing I wanted to mention is right after the bridge, you'll come to this kind of sandy area here. Sort of opens up to the left a little bit. If you come out here, there's a really nice little beach along the Oswego River, which I'm going to show you. This is one of my favorite places to come in the summer. Take it easy, have lunch, sit on the little beach here, dip your feet in the water. There's also tons of blueberry bushes around here in the summer. But yeah, this is a place I always like to stop when I'm back in this area, particularly when it's warmer out. And it also means we're even closer to Martha, so let's keep going. All right, so you'll know you've made it to Martha when you reach this fenced in area here. I'm gonna find a place that I can sit down and maybe have a little snack or something and talk to you about Martha for a bit. All right, so a little bit about Martha. It's not so much a site of a ghost town as it is just the site of an old iron furnace that was built in the 1790s along with a slitting mill. What they would do is, from the Oswego River, which I just took you to on the beach there and all the little tributaries around here, they would pull bog iron out of there, convert it into iron in the furnace, and then the slitting mill, which I don't know too much about, but from what I understand, a slitting mill converts bars of iron into iron rods, which then get sent out and turned into nails and all that stuff. So I'm not going to go in here because you're not supposed to, but I may have gone in here when I was a little bit younger, I don't know, allegedly, and found that there's not really much back here. It's just a few bricks in the ground, and this is just the site of where it was. You will notice that in this area and a lot of the Pine Barrens and even other places in South Jersey or Central Jersey, you'll see a lot of this green rock here, which is iron ore which is a byproduct of iron, you know, it's a byproduct when they're making it. So this is Martha. I got one more thing to talk about here before we move on and show you the next landmark here, and we'll do that in just a second. Okay, so I can't take you to Martha without telling you about one of the most interesting things that's ever happened to me. I don't know how many of y'all are believers in the paranormal, but it doesn't matter. A lot of people say the Pine Barrens are haunted, which, with all the weird folklore and people being here forever, lived here, died here for so many years, if a place could be haunted, it would make sense that the Pine Barrens is. So, I'm here about 15 years ago with my girlfriend at the time and our friend. We had hiked out here together and kind of walked around a little bit, and then they wanted to go look at something about 100 yards away. And I stayed around here. I could still see them, but I couldn't hear them. They were small. They were far enough, you know, if they screamed, I could have heard them, but just talking at a regular voice, I definitely couldn't hear them. And I'm standing pretty much right where I'm standing right now, just kind of in silence, looking around, taking in the sights, thinking about this old town. And out of nowhere, it like somebody put their mouth right up to my ear. I heard a woman's voice sing 2 notes. And I spun around thinking, how the hell did they get right behind me so fast without me seeing them? But obviously I spin around, see nothing, nobody. I'm weirded out. And then right after that, I get this huge gust of old perfume. And to me, it was just like a friendly hello. It kind of scared me for a second, but I immediately felt like it was just a hello from a spirit from the past. So that's my story from Martha, and I'm sticking to it. Believe it if you want. So before we move on, just wanted to say it took me about an hour to hike here. I typically hike and walk pretty fast, but I was taking my time to stop and film. It says 2.2 miles I've gone so far on my walk tracker app, and yeah, it took me about an hour. We're gonna move on to the next landmark, but I just wanted to show you this cool old tree here that I always like to see. It's right near Martha, can't miss it. People like to leave random things in here. There's a penny. Smoky. There's been times where I've come here and this thing was totally full of trinkets and stuff, and I got a couple things in my bag that I'm gonna leave for the cool tree. All right, about to move on. So where we're going now is not a part of the loop around the lake, but if you come from Martha here, it's back there on your right. To get back to where we started, you would go to the right. But we're gonna take this trail to the left, and I'm gonna bring you to our next destination. It's a little bit of a hike. Probably gonna add about 2 miles to this 4-mile hike just to get here, but it's definitely worth stopping by to see because it's really cool. So about a mile down Martha Road, on your left, gotta keep an eye out. Got an old gate, old post here, and a skinny little road. You're gonna walk down here for a while, and then we'll be there. Just a word of advice, if you can get down Martha Road at all, which I think most, don't quote me on this, but I think most vehicles can get down that road at least a little bit. If you don't want to do this whole loop, because I think by the time I'm done this, I'm probably gonna end up walking close to 7 miles, I would assume. Yeah, if you just wanted to check this out and get to Martha a little bit faster, you could drive a little bit down that road. There's a couple pull-offs, but don't risk it unless you're sure. Don't quote me on that. I'm not advising you to do that. But you could either start your hike on this side of the lake and cut out that first part, which is a nice hike, but makes it longer. Or if you have a vehicle that can take it, you can drive a little bit up Martha Road and park and hike the rest, or see how close you can get to back here, because this is gonna end up being a long hike. I'm already pushing 3.5 miles, and I know that the way back from where I was at Martha is at least another 2 miles. So yeah, I'm gonna be probably around 7 or 8 miles when I'm done all this, but it's a nice hike. A lot of good stuff to see. All right, we made it. It's glad to be able to find it on my first try, because it's been a good 7-8 years since I've been here, but this is it. Now, I will say, I am not positive if this is the slitting mill or if this is a pump house. I've heard it called a pump house, but it would also make sense if this is what a slitting mill is like. This would be it. But either way, it's definitely been here a long time. It's a very cool landmark in the pines. This thing's about 60 feet long, maybe. Goes back up to the trail there, and then it comes down to the water. So obviously this was used for pulling water one way or another, whether it was part of the slitting mill operation or if it was just a pump house to pull water out of the river here. But I don't see this one posted too much. That's why it's such a cool spot. Again, it's quite the hike to get out here, but if you're willing to do it, you can get here on foot. Or, like I said, maybe test your luck. Drive a little bit closer so it's not quite as far. But here it is. That's our second landmark of the hike. Sitting here for a few minutes, get some water, catch my breath a little bit, and then head back. Actually gonna go all the way back to the truck because the last place I want to visit is just on the other side of the lake. So I'm gonna go back there and drive over, and then we'll wrap this hike up. So at this point, I'm just gonna focus on getting back to the truck. Once you come out of that trail that leads you to the pump house, it says I have 2.5 miles to get back to the main road. So in between 2.5 and 3 miles once I get around the other side of the lake back there. So I'm gonna focus on that and hopefully cut some time out of this video and get a couple shots of me walking, but I'll tune back in once we get there. It's a long hike. It's gonna be at least 7 miles. All right, coming up on the main road again. Still gotta hike a little bit more to get back to the truck, but the ruins that we're gonna see next, I'm gonna hop in the truck and drive back over, right over there. So I'm gonna walk down this road, get back to the truck, come over, and then we'll finish up over there. Okay, so the last stop on our hike today is the ruins of Harrisville. Harrisville was a town that was started in the 1760s, I believe. It wasn't established until 1795, but the lake that we walked by was created by the founders damming that up, and I believe the original mill that was built here was a sawmill, but later there was a store, homes, a little canal that they built off the side of the lake over there, and then later the paper mill, which is the ruins that we're looking at now. I'll get a better view of it in a minute, but these are some of the coolest ruins in the pines. They've been here for over 200 years, still stand today. Again, this is fenced off. You're not supposed to go in there, but you can get a pretty good view of what's there from the outside. So I'm gonna get some film of this, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. All right, thanks for coming along with me today, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up here. I was wrong. The hike was 6.7 miles, not 7 miles. Took me about 3 hours. That's with stopping and filming and a couple of water breaks, but overall it's not bad. I mean, it's all flat, so as long as you don't mind walking for a while. It's a great hike. It's beautiful. Get to see Harrisville, Martha, and the pump house. I did a little research walking back. I believe that is a pump house, not the slitting mill. But yeah, it's kind of harder to find information on that. I know I looked before when I first found it years and years ago. But anyway, thanks for tuning in to another episode. I hope you enjoyed me taking you on another hike like this. These places are definitely really special, a special place of history. This is Harrisville is one of the oldest thriving Pine Barrens towns, thriving in while it was still around, obviously. But yeah, if you check these places out, tag us so we know that you have been here, so we can follow you on your adventures while you follow us on ours. There's the slogan. All right.